Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everyone. She offers bookkeeping services for small businesses, service industries, all of that. But interestingly, it's not just about the numbers, it's also supporting your business holistically. I've never experienced this before. It's actually quite refreshing. And we're going to look at 5 ways that you truly can be supported with. I'm not even sure what this is. So she's going to tell us more. And she's back with us. Kat Scardaville is on the
Correct.
program.
Yeah.
Hola. How's it going?
Hola. I'm good. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
it's you run deeper in supporting businesses, but approach it from more of a holistic way, even getting into the psychology of what goes on in the dynamics, and then of course, the bookkeeping end as well. Um,
Mhm.
sounds like 5 pillars that we're looking at today. What is this about?
Yeah. Okay. We learned about it in grad school. So it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So that's kind of what it's going to be focusing on today. But so the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I grew up in a family business, and I've seen a lot of interesting dynamics, for lack of a better word, to that really affect people's decision making skills, and how clouded people's judgment can be they have when they've kind of lost all objectivity, for whatever reason. And because that objectivity has been, influenced incorrectly, tarnished somehow, whatever the case may be, um, the objective really is to gain that objectivity back, and uh, never forget that you're your own person, and this is your business, this is your house, and you have to take care of it. Excuse me. So I wanted to kind of focus on the primary pillar, and the primary pillar, and this has everything to do, like, it correlates with money in particular, because without it, it's gone. You know what I mean? Like, without it, it's gone. So the first pillar is the psychological needs, and um, Maslow suggests, or rather, really, 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 really encourages that your psychological needs are, beyond safety, right? So it's food, water, warmth, like not cold, like you got a roof over your head, and rest. You're not tired. If you're tired, you won't be able to make the right decisions because you're exhausted. If you're not taking care of yourself, you won't be able to help the employees that you have. If you're, like, the list could go on and on. And without it, you lose a lot of good people in the process. And that's kind of the point. That's what I wanted to focus on in particular today. You know?
Yeah. Know what you're talking about. It's almost like you need to be in full balance. The right sleep, nutrition, eating, right? All it's low stress, all of that
Yeah.
stuff. If you want to be at your best, and that would be to support others. By the way, I just want to go back real quick about the family
Yeah.
business dynamics. A lot of people take that for granted. It's not an
Yeah.
easy thing. I
No.
I do marketing, and I when I think about it, there are some family businesses that I work with. There's a lot going on there. It's a
Yeah. Yeah.
it on the outside it looks easy. On the inside, when you introduce different personalities, when you so much comes into play. Sometimes there's entitlement. One's
Yeah, dude.
pulling all the weight, the other one isn't. How it should be run, how it should not. All of that. It's very challenging. Very. I know a guy who does just coaching for family businesses. That's his niche, just
Yeah.
because there's a lot going on there. For
Yeah. And
sure.
it's, it is beyond just working together in the confines of the business. Then you got to go home, you know, and pray that they don't mention anything at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but that's where the boundaries come in, and hopefully they exercise the boundaries. Sometimes they do,
Yeah.
sometimes they
Yep.
don't, so it
Well,
happens.
So we identify the psychological, the health aspect to be your best at what you're doing. So that would be
Yeah.
number one, right?
Yes, for sure. So the other thing is the safety needs. That's number two, right? So it's kind of, you kind of want to think of it like a pyramid. So the psychology aspect, where you need the absolutes, bar none, non-negotiables. You got to eat, you got to sleep, you need a roof over your head, the lights got to be on, all that stuff, right? That's the bare essentials, the bare minimum. Those are basic, right? Without those, nobody can function. Everybody agrees, right? So the next one would be like the safety element, where you feel secure and you feel okay, not like beyond okay. Like your home feels safe, your relationships feel safe. Every elements within the business feel like they could be built upon. There is a foundation that exists that we could build upon it over and over again. So without that foundation, for example, if it's toxic, or if it's not so or like, for example, if the employees feel that they can take advantage of you, for example,
Mm.
boundaries. That's what I was trying to say, boundaries, right? So if we don't feel safe enough to exercise boundaries, it's, there's an issue there, and then we got to go back to the psychology of it all. What are the basic needs? Because clearly they're not being met. How can you function even like keeping the lights on if you can't get the respect you deserve? You know what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, no. So we gotta focus on that. We gotta work on that, because the numbers are gonna suffer if you are suffering. They are one and the same. It is a resource that has to be respected more than anything, right? And then so that's
And
the
it
fourth.
just let's
Yeah,
let's go on boundaries for a second. I mean,
yeah,
that is like if you don't have the courage to put up those boundaries, there's challenges there. Because you're
hmm,
right. People will just take advantage of you.
totally.
Um, and you have to identify what those are.
Yeah,
What's important to you?
mhm,
Um, for me, even in the last couple of months, I identified that I need to, people are always taking like whatever
same.
it might be. And I
Yeah,
remember I left here, it was late in the afternoon. It was like probably around 5 o'clock, and I had a meeting at 7:30 in my office. So I was like, I'm going to just take a drive. There's an airport right around the corner, like
oh
small
cool,
airport.
awesome.
I'm just sitting there. I never did it before. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm just going to look around. It's kind of cool. Nice breeze coming in, see a couple planes take off, eat dashboard dine, just, have a moment. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, phone starts ringing. Got this issue, got that going
Mhm,
on. Personal stuff too. Friends like got, and I'm
mhm,
like, that's it. I'm never doing that again. If
mhm.
I'm dedicating the time to myself, an
Yeah,
hour, 45 minutes,
mhm,
do not disturb.
same.
That's it. But
Yeah,
you want to be that person to, I don't want to say be a people pleaser, but just the go-to, like, all right, I'm here to help you out, but
yeah, yeah,
not
sure.
for 45 minutes.
No,
You-
you want to be accessible. Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
You
but
want to
not
be
at your own
accessible.
expense when you need that time,
Sure.
to just recharge, you know?
Yeah. So in that case, the it's it's a drag, okay, and it's a drag because a lot of us tend to feel like we are obligated to sacrifice our time to attend to other people, and which is not a bad thing. Honestly, it's not bad, but you're a person too, you
Mm,
know and now I'm trying to pick my words a little carefully because I don't want to sound so frou-frou-y, you know what I mean? Because I work with a lot of construction people and a lot of blue collar people, and
hmm
I try to instill this in them in a different way, right? But usually, what I tend to say is, you know, after work, you go to the watering hole. Is that your time to yourself? You know, is that your time? I mean, I would prefer a different kind of watering hole. Maybe your watering hole is the gym. Maybe your watering hole is something else. But that's your time for you. What's wrong with that?
mm.
Is that? that's not an issue. You might think that, this is what I am supposed to do. After work, I am supposed to go to the watering hole and blah. Um, it's you don't have to do that. You can do other things,
Right.
But the point is that you do what works for you, so you can function for everybody else. If you don't function for everybody else, you're useless to everybody else. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah,
we're
no
creatures
bueno.
of habit. So you do it a couple
Yeah.
of times and then go back to the same watering hole, if you will.
Oh, for sure.
Um, and it's all under self-care. Well, admittedly, 5 years ago, signed up for the gym, got back into working out,
Yeah.
but I would go and I'm going to say I would be on the treadmill for maybe 15 minutes. And
Hmm.
then I would start thinking, I got to go to work. I got to go to work. I got to make sure, things are okay. Got a family to support, blah, 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 blah. And I would leave and I would
Yeah.
leave. And those days are well behind me. Now I go intentionally. It's fitting it in is important, but 40, I'm there for an hour and there's a
Yeah.
reason, because you got to do it. You got to take care of yourself. It's if
Yeah,
you
for sure.
don't, yeah,
No, for
so
sure.
important.
And we'll get to the numbers for that, right? Because after that is uh item 3, right?
Hmm.
It's the sense of belonging, and the sense of I'm going to say love, right? So there is a sense of friendship that comes into play within your company, within your small business, because the fantastic thing about small businesses is they make up more than half the workforce. As of 2017, they made up 65%, and it's climbing. It's climbing and climbing.
Hmm.
So the reason I bring that up is because it's climbing so much, there is a lot of pressure put on small business owners. And the mindset to sustain and survive that amount of pressure is it can be a lot, to the
Hmm.
point of debilitating, right? And um, it, people can cave. You know what I mean? Like watching a baseball game. You know what I mean? Where
Right.
sometimes guys on the field, they can't handle the pressure and they make a mistake. You know, so you're a human being and it happens. But the thing is that it will affect the livelihood, which is your business. So that's where preparation comes in. So the preparation comes in through several different ways. There's forecasting, right? There's budgeting. That's just like a couple that we could even go over. But that sense of support, that sense of belonging, that sense of people having your back, so to speak, that sort of thing is invaluable. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And that's kind of while it's in the center of the pyramid, um, it seems to be among the most important to everyone who runs a small business. So, but if they don't feel that sense of belonging and they don't feel that sense of support and they feel like they're on their own or they're alone all the time, um, the numbers will suffer for that,
Yeah.
simply because a lot of the times the business owner will dip into dip into the checking to support their family, which happens. You need to support your family, of course you do, but there are methods to prepare for that. But if that is how you feel, then you got to go back to the pillar, which is the psychology of it all. You know, you get your psychology and your safety, because if you feel that alone, you don't feel safe, and you might need some guidance on, how do I keep the lights on? Why do I always feel like I can't keep the lights on? That sort of thing. And then you got to go back to
Hmm.
that.
Wait, interesting. So when we talk about that safety, is it the fear that a failure? Like what happens if we'll lose this account? What happens if that? What happened? For me, that's living in the moment. You need to
Yeah,
live in the moment. Yeah, be aware of what's out there. If you see some trends and like, we got to be a little proactive, but don't freak about it because it's not going to support you. And then, that's anxiety is fearing the future. What's
for
coming
sure.
up?
Yeah, and a lot of them have that for sure. And that is a thing that people live with, and they
Yeah.
figure out ways to live with that, and it is what it is. It is what it is. Um, but what I find interesting is that when they're living with that level of anxiety, um, they got to go back to those two other pillars. The fact that they don't feel that safe basically means that, yeah, are they, well, they would need to ask themselves, is it a fear of failure, or is it a fear of making a mistake?
Mm.
Because I feel that making a mistake is a lot more paralyzing than fearing of failing. So, and instead of living in the moment, individuals who are just terrified of making a mistake can't even get to step one. It's like having a hard time leaving the room, you
Sure.
know, or
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of thing. So, um, and I really feel for those kinds of individuals, which is why I'm such a holistic individual. Like how can I help you? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna focus on the reports, no problem. I will explain all of this. It's all good, but are you in the right frame of mind to talk about this? Because we're talking about everything else except this. You know what I mean? So things
I,
like that.
I love it.
And
I think it is so, again, refreshing for somebody that offers bookkeeping accounting services to look at it from that lens, because when you work with somebody, it's personal. Like
yeah,
it's their financial background is exposed. It's almost as if, we keep that, I don't tell anybody what I make. No, 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 no. Here
yeah,
it is. This is it. And then you're aware of what's going on, the mentality. You're dealing with their psychological aspect anyway. Why not just dig deeper into it to help and support it?
yeah, exactly.
Love it.
It's fascinating because when you see the patterns in the general ledger,
Sure.
you also see the patterns of thought, and you also see the patterns of these expenses you have. Are what's that about?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
you,
yeah,
you
yeah.
gotta,
Uh,
you gotta drill a little deeper and figure it out from there.
well, most
But
of us
then,
don't know what we're doing. Like, I got
yeah,
multiple credit cards. Which one should I use for this? What about for that?
yeah,
It's almost as if you set the standard about how this all works, the best way for it to work. I don't want to run out of time. So
oh,
what are we missing
yeah.
here?
Yeah, so it's kind of nice that we dove so deep into item 3, because item 2 will build on self-esteem, because that's what it is, right? So we covered psychological, we covered safety, we covered belonging, right? When we kind of attacked all three of those, sorry,
Mhm.
is um, we've kind of built self-esteem at that point where we can finally feel like we rely on ourselves, and we don't question our decision making, and we don't question how we are executing a process. You know what I mean? And we're not, chasing our tail around, like a puppy or something. So that kind of self-esteem comes with, focusing on those 3 pillars, because the cool thing is that when you get that self-esteem, it comes with, you know the feeling of accomplishment, right? And then that then will come with other people acknowledging those accomplishments, and then they'll reward you with those accomplishments, and then you'll get like accolades and all these other interesting things. And oh my gosh, look what I did this
Sure.
thing. Wow. And that's really liberating, and that's really freeing. And at that point, you'll be able to recognize in your own way, in your own books, using your own positive habits. At that point, I'm spending too much here. I don't want to spend too much here. What can I do to offset that? And then we'll have a conversation about, okay, well, what's the plan? What's the goal? What do you want to do? Like, first off, why do you want to do that? And then we'll take it from there. And then afterwards, as they practice that, you know, as they practice the concept of, I see what I'm doing, how can I make it better? I see what I'm doing over here. I'm losing money and I don't know why. And then we talk about the why,
Sure.
right? And then from that why, we can discuss, well, you're focusing too much a little bit over there. So why don't we focus over here instead? right? And that's the fun part about the forecasting. So afterwards, you know, when we practice those habits and when we practice that routine, they come to the final one, which is self-actualization, and that's when the potential is reached. And
Mm.
then you can actually like be you, do your thing, and hang out. And I want to do this. Okay, put the money away and let's do it. 3 months later, okay, I'm done, let's do it.
You are so different than, than the bookkeeping mold that we're all used to. It's almost
Yeah.
like when somebody works with you, they're getting a business coach, they're getting a personal life coach, they're getting their numbers and everything taken care of. And again, it's personal. Like if you took a look at mine, you'd be like, Steve, come on, Amazon, DoorDash, we got to cut back on that.
Well, yeah, DoorDash can be addictive. It
Oh
can
yeah,
be.
well, especially if you have a teenage daughter that hits you up like, and then I feel guilty. It's like, well, am I gonna make it home in time for dinner? Not, no problem. But anyway, how do we connect with you, Kat? If somebody's looking for a change, dealing with some bookkeeping issues, want to get back on track, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can reach us at our website. It's www.equilibriumconsultantsnj.com, because we're from New Jersey, if you can't tell by my accent. And then you can also call us at 848-565-0113, or you can email us at info@equilibriumconsultantsnj.com. We're on the socials. We're all over the internet. It's cool.
Sure.
We're yeah.
And what a
Contact
great
us.
name, Equilibrium. That's what you want. You need to be balanced, and there it
Yes,
is. Yeah.
for sure.
Thank you so much for today. Love your passion, your positivity, and looking forward next time we talk.
Oh, thank you so much. I had a great time. Thank you.
Same. All right, we'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.